What is up? Welcome back to Winning Picks Weekly. I'm your host for today, Greg Albert. And with me, as always, Chip Murphy. Chip Murphy7 on Twitter. What's going on, Chip?
What's going on is we got another week of college football, man. I'm very excited. I'm not sure it can live up to last week, but Tennessee Bama was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. But I think we got a pretty nice slate this week too.
Last week was great. I kicked myself and I told myself I was in a group chat Saturday night with my friends saying, don't stop me from betting parlays. Just let me bet. I was all over Illinois, had them in a parlay, money line. That lost. On Tennessee, had them in a parlay. The other team lost. I was like, if I just bet these guys straight up, I would go one for two, 2 for 3, and I would just be up having a great day. Didn't listen. Sunday, hit a big 3-team underdog moneyline parlay. Won, had my best gambling week of my season. I was 10-8 in college football. Not bad, but it was great on Sunday in NFL. So if you're here for the college episodes and you still like to gamble on Sunday, check us out. John and I have the NFL episodes. Chip and I always going over the Saturday slate. And we like to start with our best bets, Chip. We usually do 3 each. We've been pretty good on them so far this season. I was 3-0 in my NFL best bets last week. Hoping to bring some of that magic over to the college and go 3-0 on my best bets this week. Why don't you start us off with your first best bet of the weekend? Doesn't have to be Saturday, but of the weekend.
Well, I'm starting with Cuse.
You got the orange on. You're ready to go.
Yeah, I do have the Syracuse money on
Oh,
too. Yeah. Plus 13.5 on the road against Clemson. Obviously, going to be tough. You said before we came on, Cuse has only played 1 road game so far this year. Going into Clemson, always a hard game.
Yep.
But Cuse has always played Clemson tough. They've upset him, obviously, at the Dome, but they play Clemson tough. 13.5 is a lot of points. I know they didn't play great last week, but, they got the win. They're 6-0 for the first time in, I don't know, a million years. And they're bowl eligible already. They're riding that high. And you said before we came on, like a lot of money's on the Cuse, and that scares you a little bit.
It's actually on Clemson, though. We checked that.
It's on Clemson. I thought you said Cuse.
So did I. They're both orange. It threw me off a little bit. So did I. 70% of the money on Clemson minus 13.5. I think it's because it's right under that 14 football number. 70% right now on Clemson. So, yeah, Syracuse, it's looking like a good pick. It's looking like a good play.
Yeah, I like Cuse. And look, 13.5. Cuse has a good defense. I know they don't have the Clemson defense, but Clemson's offense has struggled this year, and I just don't think they're going to be able to move the ball easily down the field and score, 4 offensive touchdowns on Cuse. And I think Cuse should be able to score at least a little bit on Clemson. Cuse's offense has been good. Yeah, Sean Tucker, he had a good game against NC State. And yeah, I think they can keep it close. Yeah, I think they can keep it within 1 score, to be honest. So, and I'm probably, being that my whole family is Cuse fans, I'm probably going to put a little bit of money on the money line too, because I would never forgive myself if they pulled off the upset and I didn't have money on it. But 13.5 is definitely one of my best bets. I love the Cuse this year, and I like the offense a lot too, and I think that they got a real shot against Clemson.
Going into it, like I said, I thought a lot of the money was on Syracuse. I was absolutely loving Clemson under 14. You convinced me. I would not live with myself if I had bet Syracuse the points and the money, the money line. The under right now, a lot of money's going on the under. It's 49.5. 70% of the money's on the under. When it's an under game, I think it's going to be an under game. To your point, I think Syracuse defense is good. I know Clemson's defense is good.
It could be ugly.
It could be ugly.
Yeah.
And when you're getting 13.5, you're getting 2 touchdowns. I'm very nervous about Syracuse on the road. Their other road game this season was UConn. There's a huge difference. Some would say maybe the biggest difference between playing UConn on the road and then
Yeah.
playing Clemson on the road. So it's going to be tough. But I think the stat last week was 35-11 games. Underdogs won last week in college football, with 15 winning outright. It's an underdog season. The dogs are barking. Stick with the underdogs, especially when the money's all over the public. To your point, Clemson historically not great against Syracuse. Syracuse having a great season. I'm going with you. I'm going with Clemson 13.5 points. Sprinkle a little bit on the money line. I'm with you on that.
Nice. All right.
My first best bet of the day. You talked about last week me being an absolute psychopath. You didn't use those words, but that's what I took from it. For taking Georgia minus 38.5. That's a lot of points to lay, especially Georgia looking a little floppy, flimsy here and there in a couple games. I don't think Ohio State has looked as flimsy as Georgia. I think Ohio State's looked very strong. They are playing Iowa. They're coming off a bye. Iowa's defense worries me a little bit. 30 points is a spread. I love Ohio State at home on Saturday. Minus 30.
Whoa.
Love it.
Love it as a best bet. Wow. You got a lot of confidence in Ohio State to cover that. I don't have that kind of confidence in Ohio State.
Ohio State averaging 50 points a game. Defense only letting up 15 points a game. On the flip side, Iowa's scoring 15 points a game, only letting up 10. So, I mean, we all, if you're following college football, if you're here tuning in, you know about Iowa this season. We've talked about it on this podcast. They've talked about it nationally. One of the most ridiculous offenses in college football. One of the best defenses in college football. I think maybe the defense travels to Ohio State, but this is the big time. I mean, Ohio State, last time they played was at Michigan State. Absolutely destroyed them. You called Michigan State being a fraud going into the season. You're completely right on that. Iowa just hasn't looked that good. Last game they played, they're also coming off a bye at Illinois. The 9-6 game we all know, love, and remember. I think Iowa just cannot score. I think Ohio State has to score 40 points. Maybe Iowa gets to 10. But I don't know. I think Ohio State's defense might shut them out. So that's my first best bet of the week. Yeah, I mean, Georgia did it last week. Georgia shut out, was it Vanderbilt that they played?
Yeah.
Shut them out. Dude, these big teams, they have to play good against. When Georgia's won every game, but when they're faltering against Kent State and some of these other programs and stuff like that, you could be out of the top 4 and still be perfect on the season if you just don't look good. So these big programs, they have to look good. They have to play strong, especially at home. Off a bye, 2 weeks to prepare for Iowa. I don't even know. How do you prepare for 2 weeks against Iowa's offense? It's like a 15-minute meeting. They don't do anything.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch high school tape to prepare for Iowa's offense.
It's crazy. So, yeah, it's a big spread. It's the biggest spread I'm taking of the day. But I'm back to it. I'm addicted to those big spreads. Had Georgia last week as a best bet. Ohio State for me is the best bet to start us off.
Yeah. Shout out to our good friend Colin Loring, who DMs me on Twitter last Saturday and says he has a feeling about Vanderbilt and wants to take them. And I immediately thought of you, and I'm like, I don't want to tell any gambler what to do ever because I'm the worst gambler ever.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like, man, can I really let this man do this? Can
a lot of points.
Can I really let this man put all this money on Vanderbilt right now against Georgia? But I'm not giving him any advice. I'm not telling him what to do with his money. I would never do that. So, but yeah, he watched that team get shut out and lost, I don't know, 20, $25 on it, whatever it was. But hey, there's something about those big round numbers, no matter who the team is, like 30 points. It's a lot. And I realize I'm contradicting myself completely with this next best bet.
Okay.
But I have so much confidence in what I think we're about to see from Alabama. I think that they're going to massacre Mississippi State. They are minus 20. Yeah, minus 21
Yep.
on DraftKings right now. Nick Saban, think of how I would love to be a fly on the wall for an Alabama practice. The things that Nick Saban has been saying he's been threatening to cut players. He's been threatening to God knows what look at how he was acting on the side. That was in front of TV cameras. Imagine what he's doing behind closed doors.
Oh, I can't imagine. I always think of what's the gift that goes around with him and one of the other big time coaches when they were assistants at LSU. And it's them barking on the sidelines at players.
Oh, yeah.
Their headsets are flying off and the clipboards are going and they're screaming. I could see the guy's face. I'm not good with college football coaches' names, so I can't remember. But I just assume it's like that on steroids for hours on end in practice.
Yeah.
They're screaming, they're cursing, they're doing everything they need to do to get this team right. Because, dude, when's the last time you saw Alabama's defense? Besides like a national championship or like a playoff game, because you're playing one of the top teams in the country then. The stage is very big. When have you seen them get exposed like that? I mean, they were giving up huge plays.
I guess Trevor Lawrence lit them up pretty bad. And Johnny Football torched them.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's rare for it to happen that bad too, in that they don't commit that many penalties. They were you never see an Alabama team that undisciplined. And it was an embarrassing effort. And that's why I think they're going to crush Mississippi State. And maybe I'm still guilty of just putting too much confidence in Bama, and maybe they're just, we saw last week, maybe they're, maybe not an elite team this year, but I don't agree with that. I just think Tennessee is that good, like really, really good. And I just think Alabama is significantly better than Mississippi State, and I think they're going to crush them.
I do too.
Alabama. So.
I do too, for sure. I couldn't do two big spreads on my best bets.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about which one to take here. I'm happy you took this. This is actually going to be my spite pick of the week. Because I had Mississippi State -4 as a best bet last week. I can't figure out Mississippi State. I feel like when I bet them, they do terrible. When I don't bet them, they absolutely crush. To me, I think this is the ultimate bounce-back spot for Alabama. I think you're going to see the defense come to play and really shut this Mississippi State team down. They're at home, 3 touchdowns, SEC team. They can't lose again if they're going to be in the conference finals, if they're going to be in the contention for a national championship in the playoffs. So I think they come out big. I think they come out strong. Right now, I think it's the over-under 61. 80% of the money's on the over. Spread's kind of split 50-50. To me, if it's over, I think it's going to be Bama scoring a lot. Mississippi State can score, but some weeks it's just not there. I think Bama comes to play. I think Bama scores a lot of points, so I'm with you on this. I'm taking Bama -21 as well. Again, we'll tweet it out. Winning P Weekly on Twitter. Chip Murphy7 on Twitter. I might be looking at Alabama first half here, too. Depends how I'm feeling on Saturday. It's a 7 o'clock game, so if I'm having a good day, might double down on it. We'll see. My second...
You always take Alabama first half.
I love it. Something I've been doing for years. Absolutely love it. Tried it with Michigan this year. I'm off it. I'm done. I love Michigan. I bet Michigan. Not first half, though. I mean, that first half, would they give the pick 6 at the end of the first half to Penn State last week? That would have killed you if you had the first half.
And then just crushed in the rest of the game, of course. Penn State, another fucking embarrassing choke in a big game.
Yep. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do something that may shock some people. John's not with us this week. I was thinking of him when I was making this pick. I knew we were going to be talking about it because it's his team. Somehow its transfer is turned into the Oregon Ducks. Quack. He is the guy. He's the Bo Nix truther. He's on the message boards. He's out there tweeting and commenting and do what he needs to do. -6 at home against UCLA. I was high on UCLA going into the season. I think they've been as good as advertised, even though they weren't really advertised that much out of the Pac-12. I think a lot of other teams got a lot of praise. They can run the ball. I think the quarterback plays good. Chip Murphy going to Oregon. A lot of storylines here. UCLA +6 on the road. Oregon at home. Over under is 70.5. 75% of the money's on the over. 70% of the money's on UCLA. I liked UCLA until I saw that 70% of the people are on it. I saw 75% of the people on the over. I love the under, Chip. I love it so much. I love it so much. I can't.
You just called Chip Kelly Chip Murphy? I think you did.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Did I? I just meant to throw a chip in there. I'm getting my chips mixed up over here. I love the under so much, 70.5. It scares me, Chip. I need some help.
I'm hoping UCLA loses out because it looks like my UCLA under preseason win total is going to. So I'm rooting for Oregon. Yes, I think it was 7.5. So I'm rooting for Oregon. Yeah, I don't know. The under in a Chip Kelly game, I'm always gonna be a little weary of that. Like I took the under in a Chip Kelly game earlier in the year, and it burned me. But
yeah, both these teams can score, but also I think an under. I think a thing that maybe goes under the radar a little bit. I think the defenses are pretty good. Both allowing under 100 yards rushing each game this season. Only allowing 250 yards passing or so. UCLA allowing 23 points a game. Oregon allowing 29 points a game. It's tough because everything says take the over. All the people are on the over. I think this is a big game. I think people are going to be watching. It's a 3:30 kickoff on the West Coast. So it's an early game out there.
I don't know, man. 70 points.
To me, I feel like that's not really that high. Like I feel like they're trying to trick you into taking the over. So I'm going under. I love the unders. The unders have been hitting. I think they're just exciting as overs. I don't care what anyone says to me. Yeah, it's my second best bet. Oregon, UCLA under. In all honesty, I'll probably be betting UCLA money line. But for now, for here, best bet, the under 70.5.
I got to disagree that unders are just as exciting as overs.
Electric.
Every time a team scores, I'm like, oh my God, I got to change the channel. I can't look at this anymore. Until, and if it's an under, I'm always looking at the live odds to see if it's updating and to see what the new score is and the new total is. Like, and then you got to root against the team scoring, and it's like,
when they get into the red zone and there's a little tip here, and they end up kicking a field goal, like that's a huge win. That's 4 points you're putting in your pocket. Right now, we got the Virginia under right now. Ball's on the 6. Yeah. That's it. That's thrilling. That's thrilling. It's just as thrilling as an over. You're just hoping it's 3rd and goal. You're just hoping for, bad play, bad snap, whatever it is. You're hoping for a field goal here. Let's keep it rocking. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep these field goals going.
Nah, I just like rooting for the overs more, I guess. Course. I just like because, you want to take over 70.5, but it's just so many points. It's like, I see what you're saying with the under. I mean,
I'm going to get you to be an under guy at some point, Chip. We'll figure it out. And it won't be, it's not this week.
I told you to take the under in Virginia, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you did surprise me, and I got it.
Yeah.
Got $50 on it. What was it 45? Was that the line?
48, I think it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, they're in the red zone right now. It's 13-9 in the third quarter. So let's kick a field goal here. Chip, what is your third and final best bet of Saturday?
My third and final best bet is Miami of Ohio at home against Western Michigan. Miami of Ohio -6.5. Okay, so Miami of Ohio is coming off a loss against Bowling Green.
Yep.
So on the road, but I don't know if it's well, actually, you know what? It's a bad loss. I'm not going to say it's not a bad loss. It is a bad loss because that put them under 500. And this is a team that me and you, I think, were both really high on preseason. They were one of the favorites to win the MAC, and now they're 3-4. Bowling Green's 3-4 too. Having 4 losses this early in the season, obviously the MAC is weird, and Toledo lost last week too. But yeah, this is if they want to stay in the MAC hunt, this is a must-win game for them. And Western Michigan's all right, but I don't know. There's a reason Miami's favored. They're at home, and I was looking at like their trends for how they perform against the spread after a loss. I believe they're 7-3 against the spread after their last 10 losses. This is a must. They're well coached. I think they're better than their record so far. They got a little unlucky. I mean, God, Buffalo really. I bet again. I bet on
Where'd they
them
come
against
from, man? They've been
Buffalo.
hot.
Man, I'm stunned by Buffalo. I had no idea Buffalo was gonna play this well, but yeah, I like Miami of Ohio -6.5.
I like that too. I'm not taking it just because I'm trying my best to stay away from the MAC games until MACtion comes around. But
I know
look,
I can't stay away.
I
I
know.
love the MAC.
I know. I end up usually taking two games or so by one Saturday rolls around. I'm looking at two now. You got me thinking about this one. This is one I'll definitely be looking at Saturday. It's a 3:30 kickoff. Western Michigan, man, they've played 3 home games in a row, have lost 2. Last time they were on the road with San Diego State University, lost 34-6.
Yeah,
You know?
and they just got whooped by Ohio at home. And I mean, we've talked about Ohio on this podcast. Obviously, Ohio's better than the slow start they had. They're 4-3 now.
Yeah.
I think Ohio's pretty good, but they got whooped pretty bad at home. I just don't think Western Michigan's any good. They're 2-5 now. I think they kind of stink. And again, this is a desperation game for Miami of Ohio. The MAC's been really weird all year, but yeah, I like Miami of Ohio here.
I like that. I like that too. You're talking about Western Michigan here. Made me think of Eastern Michigan. Wasn't last week we were talking about Eastern Michigan and how bipolar
God.
they are and I can't take them, and when I picked them wrong and I saw them get absolutely stomped by Northern Illinois last week.
Yep.
Northern Illinois 1 win on the season, Eastern Michigan 4-2. And Northern Illinois rolls into town and beats them 39-10 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I don't know. Eastern Michigan might be one of those teams that whenever they're like big time favorites, I just take the other team money line because it's tough to pass up plus 400, plus 500 when any team can beat this team. It's crazy how hit or miss they are.
And the week before that, they went into Western Michigan and beat them by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And they were dogs in that game.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I'm actually going to look it up right here real quick to see if they're playing this week. I don't know if they're on a bye.
They're playing Ball State this week.
They are playing Ball State this week. That's right. All right, well, let's kick it off. We got our best bets out of the way. Again, let's recap them real quick, Chip, before we get into it. Mine is Ohio State -30, Oregon under 70.5. And I actually didn't give out my third best bet. I'm sorry. I just remembered. My third best bet's a team we talked about a lot here, too. Wake Forest -20.5.
I was thinking about that one. I'm glad you took it because I'm going to take that one. So
Okay.
I'm glad you have it as your best bet.
Talk to me real quick. Why do you like it? And I'll get into why I'm liking it.
I'm just honestly, I'm really high on Wake. I love Sam Hartman. I think they're really good, but I'm also fading Boston College. I've been fading them. I've been fading them pretty much the whole year. I just think they're so bad. So I watched the first game against Rutgers, obviously, and I'm like, man, they stink. And they still have so many injuries too. And now I think it's in I love a lame duck coach. I love fading the lame duck coach. And I think they're in that spot now too, where the coach is obviously going to be fired. Yeah, I think you got to fade BC. I think they're 1-5 against the spread right now.
Yeah, I believe so. I think they won against Louisville. That was their one cover of the season, I believe.
Yeah, of course.
Fucking Louisville. That's another team. We gotta start keeping. We gotta start keeping a list of teams that give us fits because I cannot figure out them. I cannot figure out UCF. I cannot figure out what about them.
Fuck.
They rolled out the nice new jerseys, the space jerseys, throw it up 70 on a team.
Jesus, UCF. I fucking hate UCF. I'm not even going near them anymore. I hate them so much. I just don't want anything to do with anything that has to do with UCF football.
That's the beauty of college football. There's so many games you can find teams that you can't get a handle on and just stay away from them. And I got a few of those teams, but one I feel like have a handle on because it's been so easy is Wake Forest. I mean, I saw this game, and I just love that we've been doing this now for a little bit. I get to know the ins and outs of what you and John like. I saw this. I circled it. Oh, this is a Chip Murphy special here. He hates Boston College. He loves Sam Hartman, like you talk about. Sam Hartman, 16 touchdowns on this season to 2 interceptions, even though he missed, the first 2 games of the season?
I think it was just
one?
two.
Just
Yeah,
two?
it might have just been one, but it was definitely at least two.
I mean, he's been lighting it up since he came back. They're averaging 40 points a game, allowing 25 points on defense. But BC has the inverse. Whenever you see that inverse where they're scoring less than they're allowing, that most teams don't have that. So that's a good indicator. The number, again, 20.5, right under the football number. Get it in now before it moves, because it probably will move by Saturday. Wake Forest at home as well. All the stars align on this. I think Wake Forest is going to roll here. They're 5-1 in the conference, 1-1 in the conference, 5-1 in the season. That one loss is Clemson in double overtime. One of the best college football games of the season so far. They're also 5-1, I believe, against the spread. They cover. They're good. Hartman's good. This team, I like them. I like Wake Forest. So that is my third and final best bet of Saturday. Ohio State, the under in Oregon, and Wake Forest minus 20.5.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm definitely taking Wake. I got to think about Ohio State, but I'm definitely not taking Iowa. Obviously, I'm done with Iowa. But...
Yeah, it might be one of those stay away games. That's the beauty of it. So let's get into the noon slate on Saturday. Or real quick, we have Virginia under 48. Do you have anything else Thursday or Friday going?
Nothing. Virginia's the only one I got Thursday. I mean,
I think SMU plays Friday.
Tulsa against Temple and UAB against Western Kentucky. I haven't looked at it too much. Maybe. I don't really know anything about UAB or Temple. I've watched Tulsa. I've watched Western Kentucky a little bit because I bet on both teams, but I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at them. As of now, I doubt it. I think I'll probably stay away because the Knicks are playing, so I'm going to be betting on the Knicks. I'm going to be betting NBA, so I don't think I'll be betting the Friday games.
Yeah, again, follow us on Twitter. You tweeted out, it was a parlay that you had. I tweeted out my heartbreaking Philadelphia parlay where I hit everything but the Philadelphia winning the game. That killed me. So, again, Chip Murphy on 7, Winning P Weekly on Twitter. We're tweeting, we're interacting, we're having a good time. NBA bets, I put Knicks over 45 wins. Thought we were going to sneak one out on opening night. Refs had another thing in mind.
John Morant getting to the line.
Yep.
That's what they had in mind.
Yeah, so we'll be tweeting out. We'll be following everything. We'll be betting. So I'm the same way. I got nothing yet on Friday, but I might tweet something out. I've been trying to stay away from the weird kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games. I don't do too well on them. Don't do a ton of research. And I kind of just look at the spread of the money. I kind of fade the public, but the public's been hitting on them. So maybe I just start following the herd and taking them. But I've been trying to stay away, trying to load up on Saturday and Sunday. So let's get into Saturday. We talked about a couple noon games already. We talked about Syracuse. We talked about Ohio State. The only other noon game that I have is Kansas plus 9.5. They kind of let me down last week because they were my spite pick against Oklahoma. Oklahoma came to play. Oklahoma came to run. They were running on Kansas. I thought Kansas was doing pretty good keeping up with them. But that second half started. I think Oklahoma was just able to run away with it. Kansas wasn't able to keep up. It was kind of tough to watch as a Kansas better. I had Kansas plus 9 last week. The line made absolutely no sense. This week, Kansas gets Baylor. Baylor's off a bye. In Baylor, minus 9. 9.5 right now, actually. The money's 50-50. 70% of the money's on the over 58. I'm just going with Kansas again, man. I don't think Baylor's particularly great. I kind of like what I see from Kansas. I think they can ball. I think they can play. And again, it's one of those things. Kansas 6-0-1 against the spread. They're perfect against the spread based on closing lines so far this season. I think you have to rock them. Last week they pushed depending on when you got the number, or they lost. Like I had in mind on the loser because we do this a little earlier compared to when the line actually comes out and the games start. So I think Kansas is good against the spread. I think they can ball and compete. Baylor's a little hit or miss for me. I don't know if you like anything in this game, what you're thinking.
I'll tell you on Kansas. I haven't been high on Baylor since before the season. They were one of the teams that lost a bunch and probably overachieved a little bit last year because the Big 12 was pretty down. But yeah, I think Baylor in the long run, I think Baylor is going to be really good. They got a great coach there,
Yep.
but I think this year they're taking a little bit of a step back just for like 1 year. And I know Kansas is playing a backup quarterback, but 9.5. I know it's on the road and Baylor's off a bye, so that scares you a little bit, but it's a pretty big number. And I think I like Kansas there. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
their offense.
Yeah, and I think Jason Bean's right, the backup quarterback. He played last week for Kansas as well. I think he looked pretty good, man. I watched the game, 265 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. To me, it was just Oklahoma was able to run the ball like crazy. Eric Gray had 176 yards. He was breaking big ones, back-breaking ones too. Like I said, it was close in the first half, right up to the first half, and I think Oklahoma got a touchdown right before halftime. And then Oklahoma got 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. It was tough. Kansas got a couple garbage time touchdowns to make it close. So I'm rocking with Kansas again. I kind of like them. It's weird because it's a basketball school, but
Yeah.
hey, 10 points against Baylor, I'll take that.
Cuse is supposed to be a basketball school too, and their basketball team hasn't had this success in a minute.
That's very
the
true.
football team's having right now.
That's very true. What about any other noon games? What else you got going on at the noon slot Saturday, Chip?
Yeah, the noon slate isn't what it was last week when it
No,
was
it's
loaded. Yeah. Yeah, I got obviously Cuse Clemson we already talked about, but you mentioned your spite pick. My spite pick this week is Cincy -3 against SMU.
Okay.
I had an SMU last week against Navy to cover, and it looked like they were going to cruise to that one. They were up, I think, 3 touchdowns against Navy going to the fourth quarter. And then they gave up 20 points in the fourth quarter and still won. They won by 6, but they gave up 20 points in the fourth quarter to Navy, who are terrible.
It's inexcusable.
Yeah. And obviously it was a home game. And look, their offense is really good. But yeah, inexcusable to give up 20 points in the fourth quarter to a team that moves as slowly as Navy. And yeah, I don't know. So that's my spite pick because I remember I made the cardinal sin going into that third quarter, just being like, oh, this is a cover. I got this one, and
start putting that money on the next game.
Yeah,
and,
I was like, there's no way. Like, and then of course I woke up the next day like, oh my god, Navy cover. How did Navy score 20 points in the fourth quarter?
It's crazy. A score with 10 seconds left too. Like it was just the complete backdoor cover. In Navy. I mean, how are they scoring that many points?
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah. So Cincy -3. Oh, it's also on the road at SMU, but yes, Cincy. All the talk about Houston and possibly UCF winning the American, and Cincy maybe taking a step back. And they're not going to make the playoff this year, but let's be real. They're probably going to win their conference again. After all the talk about all they've lost, they're probably just going to finish in the top 20 or the top 15 and win their conference again. So that's the way it is.
I'm with you. I'm with you in that. All right, let's move to the 3 o'clock slate if you don't have anything else in the noon slate, because I do believe the noon slate's a little light, but I have a few games to play in this 3:30 slate. Last week, my 3:30 slate saved me. Absolutely saved me. It was not great on Thursday night. Okay, noon. I was 2-3 at noon. 5-0 in the 3 p.m. slot. Hit a parlay. Got it going a little bit. Got it revved up, so I'm trying to do the same thing here. We talked about Oregon already. We talked about Wake Forest again. A contender for me for the best bet is a team that I've been on a lot this year. I feel like I've been on an island a little bit with it, but they're getting some national recognition. They're ranked 25th in the country. It's Tulane. It's the Green Wave, And they're home this week against Memphis. I do not think Memphis' defense is good. I think Memphis' offense is okay. This Pratt kid, though, at Tulane, I think he can ball. Their defense, people are not giving them enough credit, allowing only 16 points a game. And they played some pretty high-scoring teams here and there. I love the Green Wave, man. I love Tulane. The spread right now, I believe, is 7 on the dot. They're home against Memphis. Let me pull it up real quick and get you the only thing that worries me a little bit, 75% of the money's on Tulane. The public might be catching up to Tulane and how good they are, but I'm still okay with that. The over-under is 55. The money's split 50-50 right now on that. I think Tulane at home, the Green Wave, that defense gets rocking and gets rolling. I can't wait to see what jerseys they have out there because I love those powder blues. I say it every week. Like I said, it was a real contender for me for a best bet chip, but I stayed away. I'm going with Tulane -7 to kick off my 3 o'clock slate.
Yeah, you're a Tulane guy for
Yeah.
sure. You were on. I got to give you credit. You were on them before anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I'm on them this week. I haven't looked at that game as much. I got to talk to you about 2 of these 3:30 games are weird to me. The lines, I guess. I don't know if I'm missing something here, but the first one is the Texas-Oklahoma State game.
Yep.
Oklahoma State, immediately I see this, and I see Oklahoma State at home +6 against Texas. And I'm like, well, I got to take Oklahoma State, who's ranked and has played really well.
I love them.
Against an unranked Texas team on the road. And I know Quinn Ewers is back. And
I think Texas might be ranked, though, Chip. I think they're 20th.
oh, are they ranked again?
Yeah, I think they got back in there.
Oh, yeah, they are ranked again. Sorry.
Yeah.
And
But still, a close game against Iowa State last week.
yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off, though.
And no. And that one is weird, and I'm gonna pick, obviously, but the weirder one is Ole Miss at LSU.
Okay.
And who's a top 10 team, Ole Miss. And it's at LSU, and LSU is favored. -2 in that game. What are you thinking on that one? Because this is another weird game, a weird line to me. I just don't get it. LSU has not looked good all year, pretty much, and now we're being told like Ole Miss is overrated, which I kind of buy. And I'm looking at this like I kind of want to take LSU, but I've also watched LSU this year, and I'm like, why would I take LSU when I've watched them this year and I've seen like a lot of reasons not to take them? You know what I mean?
I do know exactly what you mean, Chip. And LSU has been weird because I feel like they haven't been too impressive. But if you look at their schedule and you look at who they've played, they lost to Tennessee. Yes, they lost to Florida State to start the season. Other than that, though, they're 3-1 in the conference, 5-2 in the year. They beat Mississippi State. They beat Auburn for what that's worth. They beat Florida last week. That game was over, I think, in the third quarter. The over-under in that game. They were scoring. Maybe they're turning it around a little bit. LSU is a tough place to play. 3:30 in the afternoon, in Tiger Stadium. I'm torn on this because at first I was like, to your point, Ole Miss, easy. You're getting points. I think they have the best rushing attack in all of college football. I like what I see from Ole Miss. But then you look at the line, and you're like, okay, they want me to pick Ole Miss, so I'm going to take LSU. Only problem is 70% of the money's on LSU. So that worries me a little bit. Then I see the under 66.5. I think both these teams have a pretty good defense. But 95% of the money's on the under. To me, my play here that I'm going with it, because I'm picking this game, I'm going over 66.5. I think both these teams can score. I have to fade the public. Some person out there, I don't know who this person is, bet so much money on the under. It's insane because 87% of the bets are on the over, but only 6% of the money is on the over. That's insane. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I think it's a weird line, so that's why I'm staying away from the spread. I think LSU can win this game, Chip. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't like Brian
Yeah.
Kelly, but
I hate him.
dude, it's weird because I think this program has flown under the radar. 5-2 is pretty good with a loss to Tennessee and a loss to Florida State to start the year. And I like Ole Miss, but
Okay, you talked me into LSU. I'm taking LSU there.
yeah. Well, if you're taking it, I'm taking it. So let me
Yeah.
throw that in.
Okay.
LSU. LSU +2, and I'm actually switching my pick. I'm going under 66.5 because I thought I was fading the public with the picking the over. I'm an unders guy. I have to stick to what I am, and I'm an unders guy. Some person out there has bet a lot of money on the under. So I think if you're putting that much money on a game, you're either Mattress Mac or you have a really good feeling about this. So I'm gonna ride with that guy. So give me that. Give me a double play here. The LSU under and LSU +2 at home. I love it. You talked about Oklahoma State and Texas. I love Oklahoma State. I've been a Mike Grundy guy. I've been talking about them all season. They're ranked 11th in the country. Texas is now ranked 20th after last week's win. Oklahoma State, this is an opportunity for me to make a spite pick because they let me down big time against TCU. They should have won that game. That was one of my parlays where I had them as an underdog straight up, and I can't believe that they lost that game to TCU. I'm not making my spike pick. I already made my spike pick already. I'm taking Texas here, man. Spencer Sanders, I think, might be hurt. I think it's going to be a game-time decision on his throwing arm, his shoulder. And they don't have Spencer Sanders. I don't think they have what they have in this offense. I think it's going to be completely different. Texas, I think, look pretty good. Whoever's quarterbacking for them, I like the other guy. Was it Card? Was their backup who came in and played for him?
Yeah.
He was good. I like this Texas team this week. I don't know why. I've been betting Oklahoma State pretty much every single week. They let me down last week on the money line. They still won the spread. But if Spencer Sanders isn't playing, I don't know what you can do. That's why I think so much money is on Texas, and that's why I think the spread's kind of weird.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize the Spencer Sanders thing. I thought he was healthy. I know he played last week. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a game.
Then yeah,
decision.
I can't. Then you can't bet Oak State if it's or you take the risk and you bet Oak State money line and hope that he plays.
True. True, and it depends how my day's going. Because if I have a nice 1:00 or noon slate, I might do something crazy like that. Because you said he played all last week. He played all the way through. Whenever he got banged up, maybe he didn't feel it till after the game. But I like Texas -6 right here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you talked me into that one too. I was nervous about the -6 just because I thought it was a weird line like the LSU game, but I guess with Sanders up in the air, the -6 makes sense. I'm gonna add. By the way, I'm already talking myself into more MAC games. 1:00 bowling, 1:00 Bowling Green +6.5 against Central Michigan at Central Michigan. I'm adding that. Don't even need to. I'm riding Bowling Green. I'm just taking that.
I love
riding
it.
Bowling Green. And I'm sure I'll talk myself into another one, but I'm already making a mental note. I was just like, don't take Akron. They covered last week. They were at home. Don't take them on the road.
Yep.
Don't take them on the road. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
That's smart.
Yeah, not doing that. But yeah, the other 3:30. I like LSU now. I like Texas. You talked about UCLA and Oregon earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I was so wrong about UCLA that I feel like betting against them doesn't feel right. I know they're on the road, but yeah, you mentioned the Chip Kelly thing going back to Oregon. Feels like UCLA, this just feels like they may be the team. They may be like a a good like this could be Chip Kelly's best team since he was at Oregon.
Yeah, they don't play that up tempo kind of gimmicky football really anymore. They run a ton. I think they have a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good defense. It could be because they've been playing inferior opponents, but to me, UCLA's averaging letting up 23 points a game, Oregon 28 or 29 points a game. UCLA's had the benefit of being home. They just beat 15th ranked Washington at home. They beat 11th ranked Utah at home. So they've had the benefit of being home. We've talked about Bo Nix being a lot better at home than on the road. So now UCLA has to go on the road and show it against Bo Nix at home. It's going to be a very tough matchup. That's why I'm going with the under. I think these defenses are a little bit better than what people realize. Like I said, Chip Kelly can run the ball, but so can Oregon. That's what stood out to me. I think that Charbonnet is really good for UCLA, but dude, Oregon's averaging 240 rushing yards a game. They can run the ball too. So I couldn't really get out a read on it. I'm sure John's going Oregon in a Bo Nix statement game for sure.
Of course.
This would be a best bet for him, but for me, I'm just going with the under because I think it's going to be a run game. I think it's going to be the defenses are better than people expect. I might take UCLA money line just because it's 6.5. So I'm sure the money line's juicy on that. You got a pick for this game or no? You're just thinking about it.
I'm staying away from that total. I think if I'm picking it, I think I'm taking UCLA.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking UCLA. It's +6 right now. I think that's where I'm leaning. I may go UCLA money line.
Yeah.
Even. Yeah.
It's going to be juicy. You got anything else in the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock slate? I don't have anything till 7 o'clocks.
No. Me either.
All
I
right,
don't have anything
let's
till
hit the
later.
7 o'clock slate and get out of here again. Check us out on YouTube. We're on the Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube channel. We have the Winning Pick Weekly playlist there. You can follow us on Twitter, Chip Murphy7, Winning Pick Weekly on Twitter, Jay Meleka on Twitter. Again, if you're watching the video right now and you're liking what you're hearing, hit a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out so much, and we really appreciate it. So let's get into the 7 o'clock slate. You talked about Alabama. I'm all over Alabama as well. Another team that I like that we've kind of talked about here and there. This to me isn't so much I have a great analysis on the game. It's more of we've talked about this team here and there. I love the spot they're in. I love East Carolina at home this week.
You love East Carolina, or is that John?
John and I both love them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull it up real quick because I forgot who they're playing. I don't have it written down. UCF. Oh, this was a kind of a spite pick for me too. I love East Carolina's getting 5 points at home against UCF. I think UCF is in a huge letdown spot after scoring 70 points last week. I think ECU is a tough place to play. We saw it week 1 with NC State. I think that they can score. They're averaging 33 points a game. Their defense is okay, 24 points a game. They haven't been as good as UCF, but you're getting 5.5 points at home. It's going to be probably dark out, 7:30 on the East Coast when this game kicks off. It's electric down there. The field looks cool with the purple and yellow, great colors. Hopefully, they're wearing the good jerseys. This is just a great spot for me. I love East Carolina. Getting the points is probably going to be a money line play for me as well, for all those reasons I just mentioned.
Okay. I don't know as much about East Carolina. I don't follow them as much as you guys do. I know a lot about UCF, and they're wildly inconsistent. Unfortunately, I know a lot about UCF, and they're wildly inconsistent, and they're maddening. And them as a favorite on the road, I don't get that at all. And if I were betting that game, and maybe I will, I'm trying to stay away from UCF because I hate them. But if I were betting that game, I would absolutely take the home dog. I don't get UCF as a favorite on the road. what they did to Temple, it was against Temple. It
Yep.
was 70 points, but I don't know. The East Car we saw against NC State, the East Carolina home crowd is something. And I think that'll be a factor. So yeah, I don't like UCF as a road favorite.
I'm with you. What about another 7 o'clock game? What else you got on the slate?
Besides Bama and Mississippi State, I'm looking at the ABC game, the Penn State Minnesota.
Okay.
Penn State, I don't know if we'd call it a letdown game because they just got spanked by Michigan, but coming back home on after that disappointing game, coming back home against Minnesota, they're on prime time. They're favored by 5 points. I don't think they're going to play well. I got Minnesota +5. They struggled in the opener on prime time against Purdue. And I think, Minnesota's got a really good defense.
Yep.
And this strikes me as another weird, bad Sean Clifford game. Like he could really struggle. And the total's 44.5. I'm also eyeing that total, maybe under on that one. I think this could be a really low scoring game, but I'm definitely fading Penn State here. I think they're going to have a tough night. I think they ultimately will win, but I think they're going to struggle coming off of that Michigan game. That was a very disappointing loss. I think they had really high expectations after that one. However unrealistic they may have been, they at least expected to compete with Michigan at Michigan, and
Yep.
that did not happen.
Yeah, that was a 7-point spread, and that was an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
In the second half for sure. I'm with you. I mean, I think when was it Clifford the coach there at Penn State?
Franklin.
When Franklin's bad, dude, I feel like he's like real bad, like surprisingly bad, and I feel like it comes in waves. Like I feel like they get really hot and they do really well, and then they lose, and then they just look really bad, and then they bounce back, and they finish out the season strong. So I mean, if you're calling your shot here, this is definitely a good time to do it. Minnesota's defense is good; they can run the ball. Penn State doesn't really scare me too much in any one department, whether it's the pass, the defense, or the rushing the ball. So, yeah, I mean, 5 points, a lot of points in these games that you think are going to be close. I'm with you in that. Another game that I'm eyeing, I'm not taking anything in that game, but I am taking something in this TCU-Kansas State game. I mean, another ranked versus ranked, 8 versus 17 team. TCU has looked incredible. John had them early in the season to start the season. I saw some tweet, I think, about TCU going with like 3 quarterbacks or 2 quarterbacks and switching between them, not sure who they're going to start. That one tweet made me stay off of them, and I'm so mad about it because, dude, they're 6-0. They're 3-0 in the conference. They're scoring 46 points a game. They look insane, dude. But Kansas State's look pretty good, too. They're 5-1, 3-0 in the conference as well. I'm going with the over 54.5. I know I'm saying I'm an unders guy.
Yeah, I like you to go over. You must be really high on both these offenses.
Dude, TCU can score. Like the over-under is 53 or 54, and 80% of the money is on the under. Unless I'm missing something, like Kansas State or TCU is scoring 46 points a game. They scored 43 last week against Oak State. Granted, it was overtime. But the week before that, they played a ranked opponent with 38 points. They scored. The week before that, they played a ranked opponent. They scored 55 points. Like, TCU is in the grind. TCU has the hardest schedule over the last 4 or 5 weeks in a row. They play ranked opponent after ranked opponent. They're at home. I think they know this is the season right now. They're going to have to come out and ball. I think Kansas State's pretty good, too, on offense. Not as explosive. They're only averaging 29 points a game. But still, I think back to that Texas Tech game a couple weeks ago, 37-28. I like Texas Tech, but Kansas State was able to put it on them again. They played Oklahoma 3 weeks ago. Oklahoma's not as good as they were last week, but still, they scored 41 points on them. I think both these teams can score. The over's a little low for me. I'm not sure why it's only in the 50s. I'm kind of surprised by that. So over 54, give it to me. I really like it. That's the only reason why I'm taking it because I am an unders guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got one more too. I'm going SEC at 7:30. Maybe not the most mark. I think when they made this game, they were hoping it would be a bigger one,
Yep.
but Texas A&M against South Carolina. I'm going South Carolina +3 home dogs. I don't have a lot of home dogs, and I want to take this one. Been really high on South Carolina, like Shane Beamer. Don't like Texas A&M. Don't like Jimbo Fisher. Uh, I think the total's 44 and a half.
Yep.
So I thought a little bit about the under and may still do it, but I definitely like South Carolina. May even sprinkle some money on the money line. They're coming off a big win at Kentucky, so this could be a little bit of a letdown. But I don't know. I'm really high on Shane Beamer, South Carolina's coach. I just really like him, and I think they could possibly pull off the upset here. I like that it's at home for them too. I like taking home dogs, and
Yeah, I love South Carolina at night. It's one of those schools that I think just plays better. Especially they got like the black jerseys out there.
yeah,
Awesome environment. Home dogs, I love them. Like we said in this, like I said earlier in the episode, the dogs are barking. I think they were
yeah,
incredible last week, 35-11, with 15 winning outright. So when you can find the spots, you can find the spots. I like this pick. I think Texas A&M is one of those weird teams that I can't figure out, so I'm staying away. But South Carolina, I think at home can compete with anyone, especially when it's a big time game like it is.
yeah. And the crowd's gonna be hot
Oh yeah,
because they know they have a chance for an upset because App State beat them, Texas A&M's beatable. So I think the crowd's gonna be behind them. This is a very winnable game.
I agree. Anything else, Chip? Anything else in these late windows? I got nothing in the 10 o'clocks yet. But again, we'll be online. We'll be tweeting about them. We'll be talking about them.
Yeah, I haven't been doing well in the late games um at all, like the Pac-12 late games, but if I was going to bet one of them, honestly, I'd probably fade Washington because they have looked like shit.
It's crazy.
And yeah, I'd go with they're playing Cal at Cal. So I'd probably look to Cal. Just again, no, like you said earlier with your pick, no real analysis. No real analysis, just Washington hasn't looked very good since they beat Michigan State, which turns out wasn't that impressive of a win.
Yep.
So maybe Washington just isn't that good. And, Cal, I don't know how good Cal is either, but, they played Notre Dame tough at Notre Dame, who also, we don't know how good they are. They kind of stink. They lost to Stanford at home.
An inexplicable loss.
Yeah, that was pathetic. That was pathetic. You could argue worse than the Marshall loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at that Cal game there. Cal against Washington, and I don't know, maybe take Kansas State against TCU. I don't know. I haven't looked at that closely enough, but I think if I were going to bet that game, I'd take Kansas State.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right. Well, let's get out of here then. Chip Murphy 7 on Twitter. Winning P Weekly on Twitter. Check out the podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. We're available anywhere podcasts are available. Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Alexa. Anywhere the podcasts are available, we're there. If you're on Apple, please give us a 5-star rating and leave a comment. It helps us out oh so much. We're also on YouTube, Knicks, Jets, etc. YouTube channel. You can check us out there. We have a Winning Picks Weekly playlist where Chip and I go over the college football games. John and I go over the NFL games. And if you're a Knicks and Jets fan, you can check out some episodes there. Chip, what's going on with the Knicks stuff? You got any podcasts coming out? Any articles you're publishing? The Knicks season's here, baby.
Yeah, man. We just recorded our first Knicks podcast for Knicks State of Mind, and I mean, I can't even remember how long, in months. So recapping the Grizzlies game from last night. So that was a lot of fun. It was me and Jeff and Matt Castillo. And yeah, so that'll be out soon. Hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, that'll be out, and just having fun talking about the season opener, and yeah, gonna get some Knicks Fan TV content out soon too. Obviously follow Knicks Fan TV.
Yeah, that was incredible seeing them at the 40-40 Club, recapping the game, chopping
Yeah.
it up. Very cool environment. Check them out. We'll leave a link for Chip's podcast in the description of this YouTube video. And as always, we'll be back next week to recap this week, hopefully talk about how great we did, and talk about our picks for next week. We'll see you guys then.